Let's say, for example, you are a workers' compensation attorney, and a gentleman gets injured on the job. And now, as a result of a forklift falling over, injuring his arm, he goes to the hospital, and at the hospital, they have to sew up his massive gash. And during the course of sewing up in the emergency room, the doctor inadvertently sews up the nerve that controls the part of the arm and part of the fingers, and it's not recognized until about 3 weeks later that this gentleman has weakness in one part of his arm and has sensation decreased in the same part of the arm. And he learns after going to another surgeon, that inadvertently, while sewing up the injury, they tagged the nerve that controls part of the arm. And unfortunately for him, he winds up having to need nerve transposition surgery, taking nerve from another part of his body, in order to try and fix it and add to his nerve that was damaged. Now he has a permanent injury to his hand, not from what occurred to him on the job, but rather from what occurred to him in the emergency room. So you're the workers' comp attorney, and he's coming to you for advice about his workers' comp case, and now you have to sit and ask yourself, what do I do now to help this guy? Because it sounds to me like there may be something here arising involving improper medical care in the emergency room. So as I continue on, you're going to get the sense that, hey, all these things about medical malpractice, I don't need to know. I'm going to tell you right now. During the course of your everyday activities, during the course of your career practicing law or working in a place where you are actively engaged in some type of law practice, you are going to encounter people every day simply by talking to them, learning from them, hearing them tell you stories about something that occurred in their lifetime. And now, you, as the attorney, something triggers in your mind that says, something doesn't sound right. How can I help them? And what do I need to do now in order to help solve what they're going through? So come join me as I share with you some other ideas of how this can come up. You're working in the office, your computer breaks down, you call the IT guy to come and fix your computer. And while talking to him, just in casual conversation, waiting for your computer to be fixed, you ask, how are things going? It turns out he's not having a good time lately. Why? Because he just tells you that his dad recently died of a massive blood clot. And again, you express your condolences, I'm sorry to hear that. And you don't know this guy, but just by talking to him, you find out that his dad went into the hospital to have a urological procedure done. And he was on anticoagulation medicine to prevent strokes. And in order to have the surgery, they had to remove him from that medication. And they were supposed to put him back on that medication right after the surgery to prevent any further strokes. And you ask, what's the problem? What happened? Well, for some reason, after Dad had the surgery, they forgot to put him back on the anticoagulation medicine. And it wasn't until 2 days later that somebody finally realized they didn't do it, and before they had a chance to give him that medication again, guess what? He had a massive stroke known as a saddle embolus, went to his lungs and killed him. And nobody knew why he died until an autopsy was done. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what an autopsy is, it's an examination of a person's body after they have died by a doctor known as a pathologist, also known as a medical examiner. And during that examination, that post-mortem exam, they learned that he died from a massive stroke. And he had a burning question. Why didn't they give him the anticoagulation medicine sooner in order to try and prevent this exact thing from happening? So here you are, this guy's coming to fix your computer, and you ask yourself, what can I do to help this guy? Even though you don't practice medical malpractice. Again, in the back of your mind, you are going to encounter these people every single day in your life and in your practice. And the real question is, what can you do to help solve their problem? Or at least guide them to the people who can help?